Hello, Virgo. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Virgo is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Virgo, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And the Five of Swords. Okay, I think you're somebody who is very vocal, right? I feel like usually in your life you tend to just kind of go with the flow. You're very tolerant. You're very easygoing. You're very likable. You don't really argue much. You don't try to always be asserting your opinion. But right now, I feel like you've got to tell somebody what you really think, okay? I feel like we're speaking up about something right now. This is a card that's kind of like, there's stress, and we can't sort of ignore it. I feel like if we keep suppressing something, it's going to kind of blow. So I feel like we're communicating. This is a card of change, like our mind is changing. This is a card of motion in the air. So it feels like there's an exchange. There's a wind blowing, right? And so I feel like, I don't know if you're calling somebody out on their BS, or if we're sort of speaking our mind. Let's put this into some context, okay? Got an Ace of Wands, yeah. You're voicing your opinion here about something. You're voicing not your opinion, your intention, okay? And so I think what's going on here is that it's very important that you are concise, that you speak clearly, and you don't mince words, and you have to tell it like it is. Okay, we don't want to be kind of iffy. We don't want to be confusing. We want to be unequivocal. Okay, we want to be very focused, very concentrated, and almost blunt. Okay, we don't want to kind of dance around the issue. We want to be focused. We want to make sure that what we're saying is very clear and well understood, easily understood, right, by whomever. Here we have a Ten of Pentacles. We have an Emperor. We have a Moon card. Ooh, we've got a Queen of Wands. Okay. Over here, we've got a Princess of Cups. We've got an Eight of Swords, yeah. And we have the Universe card and the Libra energy. So this might be a situation going on at work, or it might have something to do with some kind of an official thing, or maybe it's even a legal matter. I don't know, maybe you're testifying or something. This to me kind of feels like a testimony. We're bearing witness here, that we're speaking very clearly and unemotionally, very concisely about what we witnessed, what we saw, what we experienced, or what the reality of something is. Like, we're just trying to, just the facts, ma'am, It may be a situation at work, maybe a situation at school, or in some kind of a professional or a legal matter. It could be a family thing, but if it's the family thing, it's about a very, it's about a very kind of serious topic, And it's, I feel like you're communicating something that is basically you're standing up for yourself in a way, okay? And I feel that it doesn't quite matter if what you saw is factually, objectively correct or incorrect. I think what matters is that you give an honest version of your story, right? Or of your point of view, I guess, okay? Because that's what matters. That's what matters to you, because you're living your life. And if something, unless there's some evidence that you're wrong, right, this is kind of the feeling. And I feel like it doesn't matter really if you're right or wrong. Your decision is kind of final here. Like you're saying, I don't want this person in my life, or this is how I'm experiencing this situation. or this is what I'm perceiving, and there's really no right or wrong about that. You know, we could be mistaken on some of the facts, but it doesn't change how we necessarily feel about the situation. Now, this, again, is not feelings. This is us speaking the truth and being very clear with how we do that. We're not trying to put our feelings into it. But as far as we're concerned, what we have experienced is the reality of it. Okay? Anyway, let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. And we're going to set it down right here with our little octopus friend, the Eight of Tentacles, right on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any point during this message you feel like you might know what that card could be, put your prediction in the comments down below, okay? I feel like you're making kind of a final judgment here, a final decision, and it feels right for you. I think that sometimes you spend too much time being tolerant of other people. Like I said at the beginning, it feels like you're very open, very tolerant, very accepting, kind of welcoming everybody in. I feel like right now there's some issue where you're saying, no, this is kind of, this is my, maybe it's an opinion, but this is my perception. This is my truth. And this is how it is. Because maybe this is, it's your life, it's your home. Maybe it's about a family member or about a coworker or about some kind of, I don't know. It's a kind of a serious thing, though. And I don't think there's anything that's gonna convince you that you're wrong here. And I don't think you are wrong. Even if the facts are different, you're not wrong about speaking up in this way, okay? You have some major arcana cards. You've got your Emperor, your Moon, Universe, and Justice. Okay. I feel as if maybe the situation is involving an older male. Okay, we could have, and this could be something about a boss. It could be an older family member. It could be something else. Okay, but I feel like it's maybe someone's behavior that we're no longer feeling too tolerant about, okay? You have the Moon card up here, which is, to me, it feels like you were on the threshold of a big change. And to me, it kind of is like you're activating your own fire energy here, that you are not just sort of putting up with this anymore, that you're firing up yourself and you're going to say that this is what I believe, and that's it, okay? Because I feel like you're trying to preserve something in life. Of course, you have your Ten of Pentacles down here. There's something that you value greatly in your life, and you're trying to preserve that, okay? So anyway, we have our majors. We got fire and fire. We've got a little bit of water. We got our air. We've got an earth card. And the earth card, it doesn't really matter what this is, okay? This is the idea of your best life. This is what you value. This is what you determine to be of value to you, okay? And it's internally, it's personal, it's yours. These are things that you value. Someone else may not value those things, right? You're making a decision now, you're making a change in your life that is because you value certain things. Other people don't have to understand that. Maybe they don't value those things. Maybe they don't see the importance of it. It doesn't matter because you do. That's why this card is underneath the surface. It's personal to you. It only matters to you. Other people don't care. And maybe that's a little callous, but I think in this situation, at least on the path of the serpent, that's how we feel. That's how we need to perceive it, right? This is what I value, and this is the foundation of it all. If this wasn't here, you may not feel the need to speak up about anything. It just may not, whatever. Things can just go on the way they're going. I don't care. But because you care about this and you value this life, maybe this has to do with your home. Maybe this has to do with your safety, security, integrity. Maybe this has to do with your wealth, right? Or your health even. Making decisions about your health, it's because that's something you value. Nobody else may understand that. It's kind of like a diabetic that's saying, hey, you know what? I can't eat all this sugar. I'm not going to eat all the sugar. And other people don't understand that, and they just think, no, eat some sugar. And you say, no, I'm not going to eat it. Hopefully that's not the case, because sugar's delicious, but a lot of us are in that boat. right? Where we've got to cut back on certain things. I feel like it's more than that. I don't feel like this is about what we're eating. I feel like this is about, I feel like it's about another person, honestly. Okay? But the point is, other people aren't going to understand where you're coming from. And that's okay. We don't necessarily have to explain anything to anyone, but I feel like you're trying to. I feel like rather than this being a combination of explanation, is that we're kind of just communicating our will. We're saying, this is the mandate that I'm issuing. Maybe we're saying, this person's not allowed at my house anymore. Maybe we're saying, this is something I'm no longer going to tolerate. This is a relationship that has to stop, or whatever, right? That you're sort of, you're speaking your truth. You're not explaining. Maybe there's going to be a little follow-up, like, you know, why are you choosing this particular will? Why is this your will? But at the end of the day, your will is your will, and you're going to uphold this. So no one's going to talk you out of it. Maybe people will be upset. Maybe people will try to talk you out of it and explain things a different way, or try to prove that you're wrong in your perception. It doesn't matter. If this is your will, this is your will. Okay? I kind of feel like it's you don't want someone to be part of your life anymore. Okay? And in honesty, it doesn't matter the reason. Once you determine that, and you say that, and you speak that word, and you have that intention, there's no explanation needed. Okay? And other people will try to convince you, like, oh, they're a good person, or oh, things didn't happen the way you thought they did, but it doesn't matter. Because that's your perception, and that's not going to change your experience of that person. It's okay for you to want to cut people out of your life for any reason at any time. Okay? And I kind of feel like that's what's going on here. And the Five of Swords to me feels like it's the communication of that intention. And then, of course, we have to uphold that intention, and that's our Queen of Wands in the future. We're upholding that. We're sticking to it. Because there will be people that try to convince you, that try to wrap you up in a lot of different details, a lot of different, eyewitness accounts that may shake your confidence a little bit. And you may start to think, well, maybe I was wrong. Was I wrong for deciding this? No. Stick to your guns. Uphold it, because guess what? If you go back on your word, if you say, okay, fine, I take it back. Right? What if something happens and jeopardizes this because of this person? And then you'll feel responsible because, you sort of, you went against your instinct here, basically, right? And that's what we got up here. This is that intuition, that instinct. This is, this is that pure feeling. It's kind of like, this is a card of fear. This is a card of a dark, scary doorway. And it's kind of like saying, if there's even a remote chance that this is going to be dangerous, or that this is going to be a threat to my well-being, or this 10 of whatever I value, right? Then why don't we err on the side of caution? I would rather, if I don't know that somebody is safe, maybe I don't invite them in the house and let them, make themselves at home. The uncertainty is sometimes a good reason to just err on the side of caution. Okay, I feel that this is being very prudent right now. This is you kind of trusting this instinct, and you'd rather trust the instinct and be wrong, but you don't want to be proven right, though. You know what I mean? I don't know how to formulate this without giving some kind of terrible examples, though. If we trust our instinct and we block somebody from our life, then they're gone. And so the bad thing that we're afraid of won't happen, right? And then other people can say, well, see, it never happened. Well, yeah, because we made sure it didn't. But if we ignore our instinct and we just leave things alone, maybe it will still never happen. But if it does, then we're proven right. But that's not going to feel good, right? I would rather be completely wrong, and I'd rather be kind of an a-hole, like the Queen of Wands might be, than to be proven right. I would rather be preemptive and make sure that what we value is safe and sound and secure, whether it's our health and well-being. It's kind of like if you're out at a restaurant and you just, you're like, well, I don't know if I could eat that. I don't know if I'm allowed to eat that. I don't know how it's going to affect me. Maybe we don't eat it. Maybe I don't want to be proven right. Okay, I'll eat it. And then guess what? I have an upset digestion. Then I can say, see, I told you so. But at what expense? You know, and imagine something more serious than that we don't care about being right. We care about being respected. We care about keeping what we value safe. Okay? So we're not going to go back on this. We're making the decision, and that's it. And now for the rest of your life, everybody's going to think you're wrong. That's okay. You know what? Go ahead. Tell me I'm wrong, but guess what? My 10 of Pentacles is safe. I don't want to be right. I don't want to be proven right because that means that the bad thing happened that I was afraid of, right? So we're sort of, we're using our fear in a way to lead us to making decisions that are going to be very protective of ourselves, okay? But we got to be careful here, okay? We really do. We don't want, we don't want all of our choices to be guided by fear. But I think in the context of the 10 of Pentacles, we're sort of recognizing something as a potential threat, and we're saying, I'm going to err on the side of caution, and I'm going to choose not to engage with that thing. I feel like it may be an older male energy in your life. Okay? Stick to your guns here. Path of the Serpent, let's talk about this. The Princess of Cups, obviously. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. The readings are totally free. I am getting an L name person in your life. L, first or last initial, the L name, right? And there's a glass was broken at some family at the table for dinner or something. A glass was broken with them. And I don't know if that was out of anger or if it was an accident, something with the glass, yeah. The Princess of Cups, this is somebody who is, to me, feels like sensitive emotionally. That this is an emotional situation for you. Okay? And don't let yourself be gaslighted here. Okay? Regardless of what the actual facts of the event were or are, or the actual reality, the objective, so-called objective reality, which is impossible to know. I reject the idea of objective reality altogether because every situation is a subjective experience for everybody involved. There's no way to get an objective view of anything because it's being reported through subjective intelligences, right? Individual people are giving their subjective interpretation of an experience, and every witness is going to have a different story, a different version of events. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So it doesn't matter what the facts are. What matters is that you're making this decision based on this sort of instinct, and maybe that instinct does come from fear. Maybe it is because you're very emotional, you're sensitive, and you have these feelings about something, and feelings are by nature irrational. But it could very well be that we are wrong, and that's okay. Maybe this emperor is a perfectly wonderful person who never hurt a fly. Okay, well, right now, you don't trust that. Right now, you don't believe that. And I think that there are others that will try to gaslight you and tell you that you're being too emotional, that this is just because of your history or your past and other things that, the other events of your life, and you're sort of projecting, or it's like these complexes that are arising and sort of affecting your decisions now. But I feel that that may very well be the case. We're not trying to argue that. Yeah, it could be. So what? Okay? Again, I'd rather be wrong but be safe than be proven right. Yeah. So, be careful of that, because this is kind of going with our Eight of Swords here, because the Eight of Swords is in your relationships and in your environment. There's somebody out there that's going to convince you, maybe it's this person, it's going to try to argue their way through it. Okay? Going to try to convince you that you're wrong, going to try to make you feel powerless, gaslight you. These two cards to me feel like that gaslighting energy. Okay? Now, who does the rock climbing in your life? Somebody does hiking or mountain climbing or some kind of rocks. I feel like they're climbing like a rock wall or something. I don't know what that's about. You're very good at reading other people's emotions, and I think you're very sensitive to other people's emotions. So I feel that when we're having this conversation, you're going to feel very sensitive to how you're making other people feel. And that is going to come back to you and give you some doubts. It's going to start to tangle you up in these wires. You start to think, well, I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and now I feel bad for making these decisions. Maybe I did the wrong thing. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm being too sensitive, blah, 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 blah. Those are things we're going to think about. And that's fine. Just keep them inside. Talk about it to yourself or your friends, your family, whatever. But stand your ground. This is your outward-facing persona. And yeah, maybe this is how we feel inside. I don't know if I did the right thing. I hurt people's feelings. I feel bad. I don't know if this was right. I don't know if I even remember things correctly, and etc. Don't waver. You're going to start to feel a wavering inside, but keep a very firm and confident exterior here. Okay? Stand your ground. The idea with the universe card here in the position of the obstacle, I think that this has something to do with your bubble, your universe, your world, whether it's your house or it's just your life in general. You have the right to kick anybody out of your life, not to mention your home or your car or whatever, at any time for any reason with no explanation needed. Okay, I feel like this universe is your reality. This is your personal reality. You can't kick them out of the universe, but you can kick them out of your universe, right? And I think that you have every right to do that, because otherwise it feels as if we're not afforded the same kind of the same like fundamental rights of being, an incarnated spirit as everybody else, And so I feel like this does have to do with your personal space, whether it's your home or just kind of like your life in general, The difficulty here, or the obstacle, I think, is kind of the feeling of maybe isolation that you are anticipating coming through this. It's kind of, it almost feels like if you do this, you're sort of like other people in the family or at work are going to sort of you feel as if they're gonna ostracize you, that you're gonna be kind of isolated, and you're gonna be like the rest of the group's gonna distance themselves from you. So it's not just about that one person, but about how the other people are gonna sort of react to, and that's kind of what we're worried about. That our universe is just kind of getting empty. But I think this is a fear, worry, concern that we are willing to risk. It's not saying it's going to happen, but I feel like this is what you're sort of expecting. And I feel like what you're expecting is to kind of stand alone in this decision, that nobody else is going to rally to support you. I think it's going to be different than that. I think you will be very supported, not by everybody. But I think that this is the fear of kind of like the worst case scenario. This is the worst thing. This is way worse than just, feeling like you're on your own and no one's supporting you. You are taking care of what you value in your life. And this is the risk that you feel is up there. And that is a very minor concern. The Libra energy at the end, higher wisdom and discernment, the ability to make real-time decisions based on intuition, based on a higher spiritual authority. I feel like it's not your emotions making the decisions. It is coming from your highest self. Okay? This is a card of serious value judgment. And value judgment has nothing to do with intrinsic value or objective reality. It's relative value. Okay? Having this person in your life, what's the value that person adds to your life? Well, maybe they're fun. Maybe they're family. Maybe there's a bond there. Maybe you really like the person. Maybe there's some history there. Maybe they're creative. Maybe they're fun to talk to. Maybe they're great at holiday gatherings or something. Maybe they're a good employee or something. But what's weighing the other scale? What are the risks there? What's the potential kind of downside? Yeah. And maybe there isn't much of a downside except, what if I'm right about them and that sort of, I don't know if it's some kind of toxicity or if it's some kind of a gaslighting or if you have some other kind of vibe about them. Well, what if that vibe is true? It may be one little hypothetical potential. Maybe that's going to happen with them. versus the good stuff, that the value they bring to my life. Well, that one risk greatly outweighs the value that they bring, you know? And so this is that sort of more discerning decision making, right? This is you realizing that to prevent the bad thing from happening is way more valuable than whatever good stuff that person was going to bring into your life anyway. Okay? So it makes it really easy to say, yeah, obviously, I don't want them here. And I don't know if this is for a family get-together, or maybe you're a business owner and you're going to let somebody go, you know? And sometimes it's better to err on the side of caution. Okay? And I feel like this is a strong justification for the decision that you're making. I want to look at our mystery card, and I bet this is going to be more. This is going to be more confirmation. This is going to be an Empress. This is going to be another World card. This is going to be a 6 of something, maybe a 6 of Pentacles or a 6 of Cups. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Could be the Hermit. 6 of Pentacles, yeah, bingo. Because a lot more people are going to support you than you realize. People will have your back. And also, this is telling me that your life is going to be better for having made this choice. That it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're uncaring or that you're callous or that you are the a-hole that the Queen of Wands sometimes has to be. No, it shows that you are a very generous and loving person. I think that you've given this, if it is this older male, maybe an Emperor, maybe an L-name person. If you are, I feel like you've gave them many chances already. You've already been very generous with them. And I think now you're coming to the realization that the risk that they pose is greater than any value I feel from them being here. So they've got to go. Okay? I feel like you will be very supported in this. There are a lot of people who will have your back. Okay? Now, we're going to do an extended reading. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do some oracle cards. There's a link in the corner. There's a link in the video description. New readings for Virgo Tuesdays and Saturdays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. The readings are totally free. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.